Well, before Christmas we spoke to Cathal Summers of Teagasc about the whole area of the Agriculture Sustainability Support and Advisory Programme, the ASSA programme, indeed the importance of it. There was a big meeting up in Dungarvan looking at the whole area of water quality in the Dungarvan catchment area, the Colligan, Bricky, Tay and Dungarvan Harbour catchment area. Well, one man very much involved in focusing in on this area, Shane Fitzgerald of Portlaw. First of all, Shane, welcome back to our programme.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Delighted to be here.
Shane, this whole ASSA programme, as I say, I spoke to Cathal before Christmas there, the Sustainability Support and Advisory Programme. You saw and you actually contacted Cathal on this because you see this as a very important tool going forward, an important tool and a must really for farmers.
Yeah, no, definitely, Kieran. I wasn't in the catchment area for the programme, but I had met Cathal a few times and I had heard all about the programme, so it was something I did want to get involved in because I think water quality is one of the biggest parts now of environmental sustainability. So even though we're not really on any river as such, we have a lot of open drains which will be feeding into the river as well, so it's important for us to manage that. So Cathal actually called out to our farm yesterday and he walked through the whole farm and he gave me great tips and advice on how to manage water quality. So like for example for us now, we'll try and keep our fences out from the drains about 1.5 metres. We'll also be trying to keep our slurry and fertilizer out from the drains as well, especially in the early parts of the year when the soils are waterlogged. We'll try and keep our slurry out 10 metres from the drains.
So really you're becoming more proactive, and of course just before we came in here you mentioned earlier the whole area of soil testing, because what you put into the soil depends on what the soil requires.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we want to have our soil fertility at optimum levels, but at the same time we don't want to overdo it either, especially with nitrogen. If there's too much in the soil, it's just going to be washed away into the rivers. Like, so that's not good for us. It's going to cost us more money as well, and it's bad for the environment. So like on our own farm now, we tested every single field in early January, and we'll probably do the same for the next few years. So we'll be able to see exactly if our phosphorus and potassium levels are improving to optimal levels, and we'll see if we're doing things right. So, and really it's so important when you think about it that you're in control, the soil is getting what it requires, as against shooting in the dark literally. Yeah, exactly. That's what I always say. It's the same with things like silage testing. You can't manage what you don't measure. So at least we know exactly. We have all the records. And as well, even like say for our pH, like our pH is very good. Like the optimum levels will be around 6.3 for grass. So some of ours are up at 7 pH. So if we went and spread lime on that, which a lot of farmers do, they just kind of might blanket spread lime each year, and you end up putting out too much lime and you lock up some important nutrients in the soil. So really it's awareness and guys being proactive as regards the whole fertility and the soil nutrients required. Yeah. Protected urea, you mentioned to me again before we come on air, is a whole area that people are looking at because the importance of that, and indeed you might explain to the non-initiated the importance of switching to a protected urea product. Yeah, so well, traditionally a lot of farmers would have spread it's called CAN basically, so it's calcium ammonium nitrate. So that form of nitrogen is really easily lost into the atmosphere, easily leached into the waterways. So we started spreading a bit more urea over the last few years, which again it doesn't get as leached as much, but it is a bit more expensive and it can be lost to the atmosphere. So the new thing now over the last year or so is protected urea. And that's what we'll be embracing from now on. So that really, it's a coating on the fertilizer, which really reduces the emissions a lot, and it'll all hopefully be available to the grass planting. Slurry, obviously, it's been a bugbear for not only for farmers but farmers' neighbours. Indeed, a lot of work and trial work being done up in Moore Park, and I know there's the trailer shoe and the dribble bar. Your view about the whole area of slurry and how it should be handled? Yeah, well, definitely the trail and shoe is going to be the future. Like the splash baits are going to be redundant in the next few years because the traditional method of spreading slurry was basically up into the air, and as well as that it wasn't good for the farmer because if you're spreading it on the fields you're dirtying all your grass as well, which is not good for the cows, won't eat it. So with this new trail and shoe, it basically goes along, it's like maybe, I suppose you call it fingers going on the ground, just places the slurry straight into the soil. So there's very little losses from it as well. So it's good for the environment, it's good for the farmer, and it's good for the ground and good for the farmer's neighbour. Yeah, that's what I decided as well. It's also good for the neighbour because there's very little smell off it as well, which will keep a lot of people happy because that's a big pet hate. Biodiversity, a lot of work going on there, and people are being advised to look at the whole area of biodiversity and hedgerow, and indeed it's gone full circle to what the likes of your father and generation before you would have done. Yeah, exactly. I was just saying that earlier on. My father's generation, they would have been given grants to take out hedgerows and make all the paddocks bigger, whereas now we're getting incentives to put hedgerows back in again. I would have had Catherine Keane out on the farm as well, who was in Teagasc. She's the biodiversity specialist, and she went around the whole farm and she was measuring the biodiversity and looking at all the hedgerows and seeing all the black tarns and white tarns they would have had and the different species, and giving more advice again, like things like keeping your fence out from the hedgerows again, just for a little margin for the bees. And then we have kind of wet fields as well, which we could put a lot of money into them. You could drain them all, but really it wouldn't be worth it. So we're just going to use them as no input grazing. So we won't spread any fertilizer on it. We won't spray it or anything. We just leave it graze away, and whenever much grass it grows.
And solar panels, I know there was a big push on it, particularly at the plough. Glanbia had a package out as regards encouraging guys with solar panels. I believe you're going to go down that route as well.
Yeah, we're going to go down that road as well, Kieran, because I think that again, like renewable energy is the future, and it'll be good for us again because it'll cut our electricity bills as well. So Glanbia have this new scheme now with Activate, and basically we'll be hoping like that it should pay back within 6 years. And
where will you put the panels?
We built a new cubicle shed last year, so we're going to put them onto the roof of that, and we'll hopefully be able to feed it into the scrapers and the lights and then into the milking parlour as well, so it should reduce our electricity by a good bit.
Well, definitely, but overall, obviously, and you mentioned before we came on air as well, a lot of people are looking at farming as being one of the culprits in this whole climate action plan. Indeed, obviously, there is problems out there, but a lot of positivity happening within the whole sector, and you reckon it's up to farmers themselves to show the general public what's actually happening, and you'd be up to opening up your farm. I know you're not a monitor farmer and you'll have farmers visiting, but do you think that farmers in general should look at the option of opening up to the non-farming community and to younger people's schools and colleges?
Yeah, and that is something I am really passionate about, is just to I suppose it's to spread the knowledge about what we're actually doing on farms, what goes on behind the farm gate, because there's a big disconnect between the general public and farmers now. A lot of them could be maybe 2 or 3 generations away from the farm. So I suppose it's up to us as farmers, like not only maybe on social media and just by talking to people you can spread the positivity, but we also I think need to get people onto the farms, especially I think young people. I think like schools, trying to get school tours onto farms, like, and I think that'd be really important.
To see what's happening firsthand.
Yeah, like because there's so many, like even in Waterford alone, there's so many great farms here. Like you like Kieran O'Connor award-winning farms and Gillian O'Sullivan and Tom Power. Like there's so many great farms that people come on to see.
And of course yourself, a farmer, young farmer of the year. As regards, and I spoke to you before on this, you went to WIT, you were going down the accountancy route, you were a qualified accountant in WIT. Are you glad you made the change to go back farming with your dad, or do you still have reservations?
No, I'm 100%. I knew when I was doing the accountancy course, I knew I wouldn't want to do that for the rest of my life, 9 to 5 in the office. This wouldn't suit me. I do love doing the office work as well, so I love the balance. And I was lucky enough, my father, he invested in the farm over the years, and he had a great setup there before I even came along, so it was just for me to try and take it over and try to bring it on to the next stage again. And it's hard to beat job satisfaction when you see the progression, and working alongside my father is brilliant too. A lot of people don't get that chance, and you have your own boss and you're working.
And work-life balance, how do you manage it?
Yeah, so our work-life balance is very good in the farm. Really, we work hard, we do, especially in the springtime. Now we'll be working 24/7, but at least when there is 2 of us there, we can get away from the farm. The farm is set up, even though there's 200 cows on the farm, it's set up in such a way that one person can manage it at the quieter times of the year, so I can get away from my breaks, and so can he. And we have a good balance between us as well, because I'm more the grass and the cows and the business side of things, where he's the kind of machinery maintenance side, but we overlap as well. We complement and we work well as a team. We both love what we do.
So Shane, finally, do you see a good future for you? And I know you're home with your dad at the moment and working on the farm there in Portlaw. Do you see a future for yourself, indeed, for the industry in general going forward? Because a lot of question marks have been asked by non-farming people and people outside the industry, media in particular, as regards the future of the agri industry in Ireland.
No, I definitely do. I think overall it is looking positive. Like the dairy has been pretty positive anyway. It's been the steady enterprise, but I suppose even beef is looking a bit more positive this year again. Our prices seem to be coming back up again. The pigs obviously have as well, and tillage is tough. It's up and down, and we're all relying on the weather as well and the markets. But I think overall now I would be fairly positive, and I suppose we just have to keep trying to do our best, and we just keep driving on. But I suppose it was never easy anyway, was it? So.
Well, Shane, you've been a good ambassador for the industry in the past. I know you will be in the future. I know you're part of the Monitor Farmer system, and I'm sure you'll have a big open day during the year. And as you say, let's hope people will take on board the idea of non-farming people coming down to view firsthand what's happening on farm. Shane Fitzgerald of Portlaw, thanks for talking to us. Best of luck for 2020.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Same to you.